Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I'm Arif and I welcome you all to the fourth session on the second module of the course Tools and Techniques for Data Science. In the last lecture, we discussed in detail about variables, identifiers, keywords, some attributes of variables as well. We also talked about numeric data types of Python, int, float, complex and bool. And we also talked about in detail about the 7 types of Python operators, namely arithmetic, assignment, comparison, logical, bitwise, identity and membership. And today we are going to talk about the Python strings. You can always download the notebook file from this link, or you can move on to course GitHub repository arifpucit/data science. My Jupyter notebook is already running, and this is the notebook on which we are going to learn different concepts regarding Python strings. Okay, so string is an object type in Python that is used to record textual information. And it is actually a subtype of a broader classification of objects called a sequence. In the last session, we discussed different data types, and I've told you that this list, this tuple and string, they are sequence. And a sequence is actually an object that contains elements placed one after the other. And each element is given a numeric index. And I also said that Python is a zero index based language. Okay, so the agenda of today's session is we are going to learn how we can define strings in Python, how we can access characters of a string, and we are going to discuss certain concepts like strings are immutable. Then we will see how we can slice strings, we can concatenate strings, we can create large strings. And of course, I'm going to discuss some important methods related to strings. So let's start playing. Excuse me. So first of all, defining strings. My dear students, you can define string using a single quote, as I have defined a string hello over here. You can define using double quote. You can have a single alphabet or a letter within a string, and you can have empty string. So let me run this. Great. One more thing, you can always declare or create strings using triple quotes, and this is an example of it. You can have multi-line strings with this. One must be very watchful while using single quotes or double quotes within a string. So I'm declaring this string using single quote, and I'm using a single quote within it. So this will raise an error. There are two ways to handle it. The first is you either create the string using double quote. This is one way of doing it. And the other is I'm using the escape character. And I think we talked about escape characters in our last session. Okay, accessing characters of a string. Since string is of type sequence, and any component within a sequence can be accessed by entering an index within square brackets. So naturally this works well for strings as well. So I've created a string over here. Python programming is fun. And if I want to access the first index, that is the 0th index, the P will be displayed. And you can have negative indices over here as well. The negative indices start from the opposite end of the string, and a -1 of course represent the last character. So this will output this last character of this string, that is N, and of course this -2 will print U. And moreover, you cannot use an index that is out of range. That will generate an error. Moreover, you cannot use a floating point value as an index. Okay. There is another way to find out the index of a specific character. If you know a character, let's suppose I know a character inside my string, that is T, and I want to find out the index of T. So that is 0, 1 and 2. So This index method of the string will return the index of the string, or the index of this character t inside this string. So this is how you can access individual characters within a string, and strings are immutable. By immutable I mean once created, a string object cannot be changed or modified. Over here in this line, I'm trying to modify the character at the fifth index to something C, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this 5. I want to change this U to C, so this will flag an error if I try to do so. Let me do that for you. Let me comment it again. And of course you can find out the ID of this string, which will return the address. And if I want to assign a new value to the string, this is very much valid. This is very much valid. So this way, this variable, that is this reference str1, will be pointing to a new object Python. So this Arif part will become orphan over here. And of course it will be garbage collected. This is true for the number data type as well, which I discussed in the last lecture. Well, you can always slice strings. By slicing, I means obtaining a portion, a substring of a bigger string. The way to slice a string is this syntax, in which we use the name of that variable, and inside the straight brackets we put a colon, and on the left of the colon I tell the starting index, and on the right of the colon I mention the last index or the ending index. One point to keep in mind is that this end index is not inclusive. So let me show it over here in this example. So the string contains data science tools and techniques. This will display the 0th, 1st, 2nd and the 3rd character. This 4th is not inclusive. This is important, my dear students. And if I omit the first character, it means 0. And if I omit the last character, as I have omitted over here, that means go till the end of the string. This is similar to using this len function, which returns the length of this string. And of course, if the starting index is greater than the last index, it will return an empty string. So this is what it is. Please do make time and check out whether this maps whatever I have said or whatever is there in your mind, and do make changes to these values and find out whether you have a clear concept, as you should be able to easily slice the portion of a string. Over here, once you slice the strings, there is a default step value, and the default step value is 1. And if you want to mention the step as well, you can put another colon and you specify the step value over here. And this is what I have done in this example. If you omit all, so the default start value is 0, the default ending value is the length of the string, and the default step value is 1. So you can always have a step value of 2 as shown over here, which will of course pick up the every second element. The D is picked, then A is skipped, then T is picked over here, then A is skipped, and then again S is picked. So you can always use step within this slicing syntax. And of course the step value can be negative as well. If you put a negative value at the end, so this means that this will be reversed. For example, this string contains from digits from 0 to 9, and if I just don't put the start and the end value and put a step to -1, this will start from the end and keep on moving till the first character. So please do practice these, put up different values so that you should feel comfortable as subsetting with the strings. The same concept will be applied to the rest of the sequences like tuples and lists. Okay, the next concept is string concatenation. If you have two strings, you can use the plus operator to concatenate those. And of course, you can concatenate using the slicing operator as well. Okay, so over here I have sliced this string str3 which contains hello world, and I've sliced it from the first character till the end. So the zeroth character, that is H, has been replaced with this character Y. So you can play around and build up your concepts. My dear students, if you want to create large strings, one easy way to do that is using the replication operator or the multiplication operator. If you want to have a buffer having 100 A's, you can do something like this. And if you want to, let's suppose, have a string Arif and you want to replace it, let's suppose, 100 times, you can do that as well. So play with this as well. Okay, string methods. My dear students, we will of course have a separate session on functions, how to create our own functions. But right now, just let me tell you what do you mean by methods and functions. We have used certain functions like the len function we have used in the previous session as well, the print function we are using. However, methods are a bit different. Objects in Python usually have built-in methods. These methods are actually functions that are defined inside a class and that perform actions on the object of the class. To keep it simple, let me say that methods are actually actions that are performed on object of a class, while functions are actions that belong to no specific data type. They just exist in the program. And the methods will perform specific actions on the object on which they are called, and they can also take arguments. And we call methods with a period and then the method name, the object name, and then we place a dot over here. And then we have the method name, and then we pass arguments. Actually, we are saying, hey, object, do this to these arguments. So this is the syntax of calling a method. This is how it differs from the built-in functions. Okay, there are a lot of methods of the string class. Today we will discuss a few, and you can explore the rest by clicking on this link. One more thing I want to emphasize, that all string methods return new values. They do not change the existing string. If this is a string and I call a method, let's suppose capitalize on this string will not be capitalized, rather a new string will be created and returned. Okay, so let me talk about str lower, str upper, and str capitalize. My dear students, whenever you want to use function, you can always get its help, like help and bracket may you put the name of that function, and let me find out the length of this. So this is the built-in function len. You see this is called in a different fashion, and over here this lower is basically something different. This is a method, and if you want to find help about lower, one way is this, and the other is you just write down the object name, place a dot, press tab, and you will get a list of all the methods that are available for this object, methods as well as attributes. Okay, so here is a example code. We have a string, learning is fun with Arif. I can find out the length of the string, I can call the lower function, I can call the upper function, and I can call the capitalize function on this particular string. And this is the output. Okay. One more thing, if you want to get information about a particular function, let's suppose I want to get information about the lower function, you just write down the object name and then type lower and then press shift tab. If you press shift tab, it gives you a doc string of that method, And if you want to get more information, you press it twice or thrice and it will give you a more information. Over here it is not giving you much information because this is a very simple function. Okay. Strip is another method that is used to remove white spaces. It has two more flavors, L strip and R strip. Strip actually removes white spaces from the left as well as from the right of a string. The L strip just removes white spaces from the left of the string, and the R strip removes white spaces from the right of the string. Okay, so let me show you this by running it. You see the strip function has stripped from both ends. L strip has removed from the left only, and this R strip has removed the white spaces from the right. Okay, starts with, this is another string function. This method actually returns true or false if the string that you have passed to this starts with method, this string starts with that string, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Over here once again I have the string learning is fun with Arif, and I call this method starts with, and I check out whether this string is starting with this string, and of course it will return true. And over here of course it will return false because this is not starting with Arif. However, this starts with method also takes few arguments. The first argument, this 21, this mention the place from where you want to start comparing. And this third argument, which is 5 over here, is the value where you want to end that comparison. So please do make some changes in this string and run this starts with method with different values to have a clear concept. Then two other important methods that we normally use are split and join. Well, this split method actually splits a string into a list of strings uh, at every occurrence of a space character by default. For example, if I talk about this cell, so we have a string, learning is fun with Arif Bhatt, and I split this. I split this string. This string will be converted to a list containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 elements. We will of course talk about list in our next session inshallah. But for the time being, remember whenever you want to convert a string to a list, you can use the split method. And by default, this split method splits the string components based on spaces. And if you want to split the string based on some other character, you can pass the split method an argument called SEP. Let me again press Shift Tab to show you the details. So to read the details, whenever you are stuck somewhere using a function or method to get the information and use it. So over here you see that I have splitted this string into different strings based on the alphabet I. Okay, other than split, another method that is join. You can get help about join by using the help function. Do read this. The join method actually takes all the items in an iterable, for example, a list, and joins them into one string. It is opposite to join. Suppose I have a list containing this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These 5 different strings, and I want to convert this to a string. So I will use the join method. And before join, you see this separator, and this is a separator that will be placed in between each of these strings. I think this makes sense. And if you want to have a different separator other than the space, you can place that alphabet or those characters over here. So this is split and join. And next method we are going to talk about is the find method. Excuse me. The str, the string class method find is used to find a substring from within a string. So let's suppose I want to, I have a string, data science tools and techniques. This is a string, and I have called a method find on this string, and I want to find data within this string. So it will return the first index at which this substring occurs. So for this it will return 0, and can anybody tell me for this it will return what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. So it will return 16, I think. Yes. Okay. And similarly, by default, this searching starts from the start of the string. If you want the searching should start from a bit ahead, you can do that as well. And of course, this is case sensitive. And the third argument, this one, this tells you if you want to stop searching up till this index, you can do that. This is helpful. These two arguments are helpful when you have very long strings, large strings, and you want to search a particular substring from within that string. So I hope this makes sense. Please do write down certain strings and use this find method on that. Then we have the replace method. The replace method is actually used to replace. This replace method is called on this hello. It says that replace all the occurrences of this string E from this string to a new string that is A. So this will change this E to A. So this will change to hello. And over here, I'm saying that this is a string, welcome to learning data science with Arif. And I have called replace method on this string. And I have said that please replace the string data science from this to life. So this will of course change to welcome to learning life with Arif. Once again, one important thing which I'm showing in all these methods is the original string remains as such. These methods actually return a new string object. Okay, then we have the format method. I think we discussed this when we were discussing the print function in our previous session. This format method actually combines values of other data types like integer, floats, booleans, etc. with strings. You can just call this format method on this string. So what this format method will do, it will place these comma separated values over here in the same sequence. And if you want to change the sequence, of course, you can put up the values over here. So over here I am saying Mr. 2, so this 2 means the name, the 0, 1 and 2 are second argument. And this 1 means this cost, and this 3 means 0, 1, 2, 3, this discount, and this 0 means of course the bill. So I've just created a complex example to make you understand that you can place certain values over here instead of keeping them blank. If you keep them blank, they will be replaced by the values, the comma separated values passed to the format function in sequence. And if you want them to be in different sequence, you can put up values over here. I hope this makes sense to you all. Finally, you can compare two strings using the is as well as the double equal to operator. Over here I have created a string hello, and A is referring to this hello, and once again I have created another string B, and it is also pointing to hello. And remember, in the memory there is only one object hello, as I have discussed in the previous session as well. And these A and B, they are two references which both are pointing to the same object. So if I find out the ID of A and the ID of B, that will be same. 1936, 1936. Okay. So in case of string, both A and B refers to the same memory location containing string hello. So this is operator actually checks the memory address of two strings, and this double equals to operator check the contents of two strings. And of course, in this case, they will both return true. Okay, so this is also a similar example. Over here we have two different strings. X is pointing to an object hello, and Y is pointing to another string object by. So X is Y. They both have different IDs. So this is false and this is false as well. Okay, then we have the string membership test using the in operator. If you want to check out whether this string is there in this string, you can use the in operator, or you may use the not in as well. Let me run this. This will of course true, and this will be false. Great. Okay, my dear students, after you are done practicing the sample codes in this notebook, please try giving answers to these questions to check your concept. So that is it for today's session. Do practice all this what we have discussed today. I hope it was informative for you all. If you have liked it, please subscribe my YouTube channel and share it with your friends. I wish you all the best. Happy learning, and Allah Hafiz.